Hi, it's Magma, and since we can't really have our camp due to quarantine, I'll be filming a video on some books I recommend to read during quarantine, and they'll be divided into two categories, one for younger kids and one for older kids. So I'll start with the younger kids first, and the first series I'd recommend is Nancy Drew Girl Detective. This one might be kind of for an in-between group between younger and older girls, or just kids. And this book is about Nancy Drew, and if you don't know who that is, it's a popular series about a teenage girl who likes to solve mysteries with her two friends. I can't remember their names right now, but it's a good series. It's really fun mystery, and I personally really enjoyed it when I was younger, and even now I still enjoy it. The second one is the Spiderwick Chronicles, and this is about a group of kids who, it's been a while since I've read it, so I don't remember exactly, but it's a group of 3 kids who move into a relative's house, and they start to find these field journals about the mythical fantasy creatures that live in the area around the house, and it's about their involvement in getting more into this fantasy realm, and I really enjoyed it. It's really fun. It's about 100 pages long, so it's not super long, but it could take a younger kid a little while to read it. And there's 5 books. That's about it. I read it probably when I was 3rd, 4th grade, and a little bit can be a little scary if the kids are too young, but for the most part, I think it was pretty good. And then the third and final book and book series I recommend for the younger kids is the Boxcar Children, which is yet another mystery series about, sort of similar to Scooby-Doo in the fact that it's 4 kids solving mysteries, except instead of being unrelated, there are 4 siblings and no dog who live with their uncle and go and solve mysteries. The summary, I can actually read the summary for this one. Henry, Jesse, Violet, and Benny are a family. They're brothers and sisters, and they're orphans too. The only way they can stay together is to try and make it on their own, but where will they live? One night, during a storm, the children find an old red boxcar that keeps them warm and safe. The children decide to make it their home and become the Boxcar Children. From what I remember, there's a lot in the series. This one's a bit of a longer one compared to the others. It's about 150, 160 pages. But yeah, it's about solving mysteries, and I really liked it. Now moving on to the older kids. This is the first one. It's called The Last Dragon Chronicles, and this first one is The Fire Begins. And as you'd expect, it's a magical adventure about the power of dragons. And the series as a whole follows this young man who moves in with a single mom and her daughter, and finds out that these pottery dragons that they're making aren't just pottery, they're actually like dragons. The summary is, when David moves in with Elizabeth Pennycettle and her 11-year-old daughter, Lucy, he discovers a collection of clay dragons that come to life. David's own special dragon inspires him to write a story which reveals the secrets behind a mystery. In order to solve the mystery and save his dragon, David must master the magic of the fire within, not only with his hands, but also with his heart. And this is the first one isn't too bad. Like, you don't have to, there's not a ton of complicated plot in it, but as the series goes on, it gets more and more complicated, and it's definitely a series you can go back and revisit and find things that you didn't notice before or didn't quite understand before. So yeah, this one's definitely an older kid book, if only just because it gets a bit confusing. And there's about 7 books in the series, I believe, and it's all about dragons. And so the last book I will be recommending is The School for Good and Evil, and this is about 2 girls who end up going to this academy, sort of. It's about 2 girls that go to a academy for fairy tale characters, essentially, where they become heroes or villains of a story, and the main plot point is how it seems like they've been mixed up. Like, the secluded hermit kind of dark girl goes to the school for princesses and princes, and the cheerful, bright, beautiful girl goes to the school for villains. And it's really interesting, and again, it gets a bit complicated, and even now I continue to reread it. There's 4 books in the first series, and then 5 books, no. Yes, there's 4 books in the initial series, and then there's another 4 books in the sequel series, which I think might still be ongoing, but I could be wrong. And the summary is, this year, best friends Sophie and Agatha will discover what it is to be a student at the fabled School for Good and Evil, where ordinary boys and girls are trained to be fairy tale heroes and villains. With her pink dresses, glass slippers, and devotion to good deeds, Sophie knows she'll earn top marks at the School for Good and graduate a storybook princess. Meanwhile, Agatha, with her shapeless black frocks, wicked pet cat, and dislike of nearly everyone, seems a natural fit for the School for Evil. But when the 2 girls are swept into the endless woods, they find their fortunes reversed. Sophie's dumped in the School for Evil to take uglification, death curses, and henchman training, while Agatha finds herself in the School for Good, among handsome princes and fair maids in princess etiquette, and animal communication. But what if the mistake is actually the first clue to discovering who Sophie and Agatha really are? The School for Good and Evil is an epic journey into a dazzling new world where the only way out of a fairy tale is to live through one. So it's a lot about don't judge a book on its cover and discovering who you are, and I liked it. Yeah. Happy summer.